don't remember. Did we ever force any of you to play Mountains of Madness?
Not yet.
Or Mansions of Madness, sorry.
Not yet.
Mansions of Madness. I played Betrayal House on the Hill. Does that count?
That's a good game, don't get me wrong, but
it's very close in some ways.
So
You've been trying to organize us playing Mansions of Madness for like years.
Yeah, because
we've tried.
It's a long game, like Betrayal. It takes a few hours, but the whole idea is you're playing a game. It's a board game you have to use the computer to watch things play out, and you're basically playing a Call of Cthulhu themed story, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we need to just organize a weekend and do that, because I gotta, we gotta do our tattoos. We gotta do Mansions of Madness.
Wait, so wait. When you say board game, you don't mean Discord?
No. This should
you mean in like the real world? Okay.
Yeah, we have to have the game board, the pieces, the pawns.
Well, we've got to get like our guest bathroom sorted, but we need to have people at this stupid house soon, or I'm gonna blow my brains out. No,
that's extreme.
I'm kidding. But no, like it would be cool if we like had everyone here.
Yeah,
if possible.
Well, once everybody's feeling better, that'll make a big difference. Honestly,
same with
that's the weird thing about like board game cafes. Like I like having board game cafes around, but like they've got this entire shelf of board games, and there's like maybe 4 you can play, because like so many of them are like, great, here's an encyclopedia of rules, and the game takes 47 hours to play.
Right?
Yeah.
Like whatever that Small World game is, and I do not want to touch that game.
It's Small World's fun, but you have to get used to it.
I don't want to.
That's fair.
Welcome to the Undercooked Analysis board game cafe.
Yeah, we decided we're not reading stories anymore. We're going to review board games.
Oh fuck, that'd be fun.
In podcast form.
Hope you didn't order any food, because you already have to push 2 tables together to play this board game.
Right.
Actually, it is good. You did start with a description of something related to the Lovecraft, the Cthulhu mythos.
I did that on purpose.
I know you did that on purpose, but before that, I have a quick point of order. First of all, let's introduce our readers today. It is me, David. You've got Kaela.
Hi.
You've got Alan.
Yo.
You've got Abysmii.
Hello.
And you got Paprika.
Aye.
And we're all here to read you a story that was submitted to us by apparently Cthulhu himself.
Thank you.
What?
I'll get to that in a second.
Cthulhu himself.
Yes, I'll get to the why in a second. But quick point of order.
I didn't know he was literate.
He'd be like beyond comprehension literate, wouldn't he?
I really look forward to reading the first 2 words of this story and like blood pouring out of my eyes.
Right.
Okay, first point of order, you guys.
Yeah, sorry, point of order. So I meant to do this like a couple episodes ago, and I owe Kane Mack an apology for this, but Kane Mack hid a secret message in the end of Baby Blue Jay, and I want to make sure that gets read, because I promised I would read it. So if you remember, Baby Blue Jay is a story that is from a cat's perspective, where a cat eats a baby blue jay, and then angry blue jay ghosts and stuff appear and make them finish eating the decomposing blue jay body. That said, K-Mac has this note. Mandu is, as you've probably already figured out, a tabby cat. His full name is Catmandu, Mandu for short, but his owners call him Doo-Doo. Don't worry, he'll be hunky-dory again after a trip to the vet. So the cat does not die. He just goes to the vet.
Good.
Yay.
It's important that we know that.
Well, no one likes it when an animal dies in a thing,
It's a story about a dead blue jay.
Oh, Kaela, you're absolutely right.
This is a fair point, which is where the horror comes in.
Yeah.
I got inspired after my cat, Guppy, brought home a dead adult pigeon, tore its wing off, ate it, and then went to check her food bowls, leaving me with a mess. Needless to say, it was a terrifying sight. Not to mention the time she found a dead mouse she had left a day before and ate it, only to puke a few minutes later. Cats are weird, man. I mean, yeah, that's true.
I mean, to like I think almost not you, but almost everyone here has either A, owned a cat, or B, owns a cat.
Yeah. They're dumb.
They can be pretty dumb.
My cats are pretty gay.
They can be dumb and gay?
Yeah.
No, not all cats.
Hashtag
Dummy
not all
gay.
cats.
Hashtag not all cats. My cats are gay.
Oh, okay.
So dumb and or gay is what you're saying.
Like
Not like high school insult gay. My cats are homosexuals.
oh,
Queer cats.
Yeah.
Okay.
hashtag to support queer cats.
Hashtag
There's dummy thick, and there'd be dummy gay.
Do cats?
Dummy gay.
I mean, I haven't known animals to have sexual orientations because they'll pretty much just hump anything.
Oh yeah, no, like penguins. It's like 300 species or something that are classified as can be homosexual. I think.
I mean, our dog humps pillows sometimes.
Dogs are just horny. Dogs will
Yeah.
fuck anything.
That's true.
Mhm.
That is very true. Especially my dogs like randomly hump legs and stuff too.
I love the fact that every person who is, whenever they realize, oh, your dog it humps pillows, that's weird. Isn't she fixed?
It don't matter.
It
Don't
don't mean a
matter.
thing if it feels good on that thing. Do-wop.
Anyway,
Anyway, so Kane Mac, sorry, it took me a bit. I need to take more notes and be more careful, be more concise about when to follow through. But there you go. There's additional context for that story for anybody who listened to Baby Blue Jay. You can go back and listen to that episode if you have not already. I recommend it. It was actually a pretty good read. Just very gross.
Yeah, real gross.
Super, super gross. Anyway, this story that we are reading, as I said, was sent to us by CthulhuFatagan@gmail.com and is credited to Cthulhu.
Cool.
Well, it was sent by Cthulhu Fatagan.
I mean,
It's the thing you say to Cthulhu.
Well, not to, more about, as in praise.
Oh.
But I'm glad that my Dark Lord finally got his internet up and running.
Yeah, I mean, you got to imagine that, like, getting someone out to Relay to like install internet, it's got to be really hard, you know.
Running fiber to Relay took a really long time.
Not to mention, like, six of the 7 people they sent went mad, as you know, just by getting within like a 3-mile proximity of the city.
Everyone who's like on their, this is the day before they retire, they get sent out on the Relay job. None of them come back.
And then when they
corporate
get back,
scam.
like, you know, this was life threatening. This was like a risk to my life and sanity, right? And then they kind of tap their chin and go, "Well, at least we didn't send you to the. We didn't try to send you on the Haster job.
No, thank you.
Where can we find Haster? Oh, in the yellow pages. Ba-dum-bum.
Nerd.
Anyway, Cthulhu.
Now you
writes-
have to explain the joke.
The king in yellow wallpaper. Ha, ha. Okay,
oh.
moving on.
Cthulhu writes, "This is a fave of mine, as I'm always ready for some Lovecraft bloodshed. Here's hoping you enjoy it too, Cthulhu."
Hugs and kisses.
XOXO Cthulhu.
Actually, to give proper author credit, I believe Cthulhu wrote this, but channeled it through the mind of Ryan Oleynik.
Okay.
All right.
So we have some proper credit there, but I think we want to credit it as Cthulhu, but I'll make sure that Ryan is also credited as being the vessel through which Cthulhu wrote this story or presented this story.
Oh, Cthulhu Fatagan. It means no worries.
For the rest of your days, they're numbered. So this story is called Upon the Mountain, and it looks to be an epistolary story.
Is it called Up on the
My
Mountain or
favorite.
Upon the Mountain?
Upon the Mountain.
Oh, okay.
Reindeer falls.
Up on the mountaintop. Sing, sing, sing.
So
I
what
don't know.
order?
Down through Relay goes this string.
So what order are we?
Well, there's, in a rare instance, there's 5 of us in here, so that's kind of nice. Hey, Kaela, you want to start?
Sure.
Good one.
Dear brother Gregor, do I keep reading?
Yeah, keep going. That's really short.
If you're reading this letter, then I must admit that I'm glad that the Lord saw it fit to find its way to you. But I warn you, do not come to the mountain. I know you must be confused by my words, as I am sure you do not know which mountain I'm speaking of, but this is for the best. In other words, don't go to any damn mountain.
We all know that mountains don't actually exist.
That is, I've been
The
wanting
earth
to.
is too flat for mountains.
I've been wanting to run a fake, like, because like fortune cookies don't actually have fortunes in them anymore.
No, they don't.
So I've wanted to just like put in things that are like, don't get on the highway, don't go to the mountain, and just like cryptic shit to fuck with people. And do not come to the mountain is a great one. Like
pretty
circulated
sure-
during winter.
Every time he brings this up, though, I always tell him that there's probably a reason that people don't do this, and it's probably the massive lawsuits that would take out anyone that does do
It's
it.
telling people to not do things.
Uh-huh.
You must never know where this damned place is, and if you do find out, you must never come here. No doubt you're worried about me. I've been gone longer than originally planned. I bet there are those who say that I ran away from the church, that I have done something wrong, and I am hiding it. Ignore their lies. I would never turn my back on my friends and family. There are things that have changed, but my love for my brothers and our flock remains the same. All right.
Okay.
Not a bad intro. Who's next then?
Let's do Kaela, David, Paprika, me, Alan.
Cool.
Cool.
Works for me. I have been debating if I should tell you my tale of all that I have witnessed. I have tried to write it before, but the words are so blasphemous and vile that I could not stomach the sight of them. I burned them. I burned away those awful words, but I must warn you and warn all of those who may approach this nightmare. I will try to tell you what has unfolded here, but I feel that no mortal words will ever fully describe these events.
Firmly Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
Oh,
Barely
yeah.
talk about what I said.
I'm already rolling my eyes.
No, okay. If it weren't
we picked this story because I picked this story namely because I knew that like the three of you were going to be in this one with us. So.
Mhm.
But specifically Abysmii. Because...
this is a lot of front loading, but because I know it's Lovecraftian inspired, I'm like, yeah, this is
The man loved his front loading.
Yeah. And powdered milk and cheese.
Ew.
God, he was
All right.
he was a weird person.
Abysmii, read your section.
It's your section.
No, it's you first, I thought.
No.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
after you.
fine. It all started when I was approached by the church about a village that rests on the side of a mountain. They had told me that there had been some strange going-ons that had been troubling the residents. People had been disappearing overnight.
Dracula.
Men and women rambling about some entity that lived on the mountain.
Dracula.
But what really had the church interested was the word angel. The message that came from the mountain that had mentioned that some of the affected spoke of an angel talking to them, and then they would vanish.
Varnish.
The angel said, clean up the town, and they did.
I certainly had my doubts when they told me this. I would never have believed that God had sent one of his warriors down to our flawed world to speak to some miners. And why did people disappear? Surely an angel would wish to spread the word of God to others. A demon would make more sense, driving those poor people mad with his wicked powers and stealing them in the dark. And what better castle for the devil to hide under, plotting his evil ways?
I am getting such strong midnight
Mass.
vibes.
Yeah.
To our just, I also, how dare he? It's like, why would he speak to some miners? What do you have against miners, bro? Like,
They all got the black lung. You can't trust them.
16 tons. What do you get?
This is presumably a holy man, so he's not trusted around minors.
Yeah.
Oh!
Fucking savage!
I was wondering how long it would take.
I was tempted to make that joke, but then I'm like, I voted against it. I appreciate that Alan did it.
Kayla is classier than that.
I try to be.
They wanted me to go out
I
to
don't
the
give a
mountain.
fuck. As I say this, I think I burped at the beginning of this.
You did.
They wanted me to go out to the mountain to investigate these strange occurrences and to see if a warrior of the Lord truly came to our world. But they also warned me that I may be forced to face one of the devil's many soldiers instead. I did not fear, though, as I knew the Lord would be with me. I would exorcise this demon and bring peace back to their mountain. I accepted the mission without hesitation.
For our trip, I brought Brother Douglas with me. As if things were as bad as they could be, we would need each other. And we were joined by a man named Jonathan Barnes. Johnny Barnes.
Johnny Bonds.
Are we just going to spend the story describing people like in that terrible story that Kayla recommended?
Oh,
no.
you mean White Worm?
Yeah, no.
No.
I'm kidding.
First
Never
of all,
again.
I did not recommend it. I knew it was going to be bad.
It was a project.
Yes.
Kayla recommended this terrible book, and we all admonish her for it.
God damn it.
Okay, it could be worse. You could have suggested things.
Oh yeah, that's on you guys. I blame
Yeah.
both of
No,
you and
that's
Alan.
That
Hold
was
on.
100% me.
Okay. Time out. That was all Abysmii.
I bought Shudder specifically to watch things and show it to people.
That's
And now I wish I hadn't.
Alan, Abby, and
Things was 100% Abysmii's pick. Granted, I am a worse person than Abysmii because Abysmii didn't know and showed it to both of us. I knew, and I've shown it to more people.
Yes, you are still a terrible person.
And the fact that you haven't lost friends as a result is kind of surprising.
And
One
I
of those
haven't
people
seen
also
this.
watched it again.
Oh, God.
What?
And showed it to other people.
This is a true cursed tape.
Yeah.
Like, this is a real one.
And also, and because I did that, I have not died in 7 days via Japanese little ghost
Right.
girl.
I feel like by saying like don't watch things, like asking our listeners don't watch the movie Things, that's just begging people to say, hey,
It's like the real Bye Bye Man.
Yeah, you can't do anything if you don't talk. You have to talk about it because it's just that fucking bad. But if you say don't watch it, they're going to watch it. If you say do watch it, they will watch it. You're trapped no matter what you do.
Watch it at
Yep.
your own peril.
That's why I've totally seen this movie.
Go ahead. I'm not watching it with
I
you.
hate
It's
you.
really bad.
If anyone here listening wants to hear more about the Bye Bye Man, hey, go listen to Jameson tapes.
hells
Anyway.
yeah. Should I? Is it my turn or no?
Nope,
Wait, no.
Alan's turn.
You're still no. Alan's still going.
And we were joined by a man named Jonathan Barnes, who was responsible for taking us to the village. He was one of the older men who helped run things in the small small town, and had personally come to the church for help with the Draculas.
I really am feeling Bram Stoker right now with this setup too.
Not
You
Midnight
wanted us-
Mass.
He loaded us up in his carriage, and we began our long trek to the mountain of Draculas. I will not tell you how many days it took, nor what we saw during the trip, Draculas. I fear that you would use these as clues. Okay, this is better.
Okay.
This is better than White Worm immediately because
Yeah.
we're just passing by the trip.
Yeah.
This part was boring, so I'm not going to tell you about it. Thank God.
Holy shit! Thank you.
I really do actually like the built-in, like, I don't have to provide detail here because technically that would reveal where I am. That's a nice little, almost kind of like lampshading or something. I like it.
There's a reason why it's like I'm not going to describe the trip because I don't want you to figure out where this place is because I want to tell you about what happened to warn you, but I'm not going to make sure you can find it.
Well, it's on a mountain.
That's
I
all we
fear-
know. Do you know how
I
many
fear-
mountains there are in the world?
A lot.
Not
I
very many
fear
because
that
the
you would
Earth
use-
is flat.
I fear that you would use these as clues to my location, as you were always a curious one.
At last, we made it to the base of the accursed mountain, and we were taken up by a team of mules. Some may see the mule as a dirty animal. Who does? is
I guess people who are around mules a lot because
Yeah.
I have no opinion.
They're like stereotypically dumb, but that's just a stereotype. No one really sees them as dirty. Yeah, that's kind of weird.
But after our trip up those treacherous slopes, my eyes see entirely different creatures. Such bounce and stability. No wonder our savior rode upon their father as he traveled the streets.
What?
The father mule, the all mule.
Regardless of
I come from a very strange church. We believe that mules are Jesus.
We don't worship Jesus so much as the mule he sat on.
regardless of the terrain, we made it to the plagued village and were greeted by the townsfolk. Even if I had been brought here without any knowledge, I would have known something is wrong. The looks of everyone who arrived were that of those who ran from sleep and hid from things that could not see. That's kind of a weirdly worded sentence.
But it
Just
is
an
a
unfortunate
cool,
break spot.
It is a cool concept, though. I like
No.
I like what's being said.
I like
So-
the sentence.
Honestly, so far this story has been very intriguing and strong. This is the only time that this sentence, like when I read it out loud, was like it's a little off, but that's it's not bad. Like this, it happens. The looks of everyone who arrived were that. Oh wait, I said that already. My bad. Each of them was haunted by whatever was happening there. Their faces alone steeled my resolve to help them, and I know Brother Douglas thought the same. Okay, so we're probably gonna. I'm gonna do
A whole bunch of sleepy ass people here. We gotta help them. What are we helping them with? We're gonna sing them a
Dracula.
song to put some sleep.
Draculas.
I still think of that one thing where I forget what movie it was where she's like, "Are we doing with some sort of Dracula?" Like referring to vampires as Draculas.
Oh,
Is-
The bog.
The bog, yeah.
Yeah, the bog.
What a I feel like
All
that's
right, we're gonna tap on your walls a little here. Geez, this place is crawling with Draculas.
They're endangered species, you know. You can't get rid of them the normal ways.
Yeah, we're gonna have to set out some Dracula pellets.
I firmly like Aqua Teen Hunger Force. There was a running trope in that show of just Shake would say, "Yeah, well, Dracula's coming tonight." Like never
Yes.
vampires. It's always specifically Dracula, and that has stuck with me for my entire life.
so David's on the phone with someone right now. I don't know who. I assume it's something important.
Hey,
I'm
future
back.
David.
Hey.
Play 6 Underground.
Okay.
Uh
What did I miss?
basically Dracula. No,
Well, this sounds like
they climbed. He's there at the town by the mountain, and apparently people look like they haven't slept in forever.
okay.
And
And we're
also,
supposed to care.
We met with the rest of the town leaders, with Jonathan introducing us to them all, and they told us the whole story. The occurrences began after the village had witnessed a brilliant light falling from the sky one night.
Yes.
They had first chalked it up as a falling star, and even though it was unusually bright, but not long after the event, people began to complain of severe headaches, with some in such pain that they could hardly
It was
walk.
a radioactive meteorite.
Meteor shit.
That sounds like radiation poisoning.
I'd say
does.
so too. They were forced to remain in bed as they waited for the pain to subside. The village had no real doctors here, but there were those who knew basic first aid. They did their best to try and lighten the pain, but there was only so much they could do. But it wasn't long before more than half the village.
I think it's
that
supposed
should
to
be
be
then. More
Yeah.
than half the village suffered from these migraines. And the leaders, migraines suck. And the leaders were beginning to worry it was some strange disease had entered the town. They began discussing plans to send someone down off the mountain to seek medical help. Or at the very least, get those unaffected away from the town. Before they could set any plan in motion, the talk of angels began.
Ooh. At
Draculas.
Dracula.
Girl, you're
Dracula.
my angel. You're my darling.
Now we're talking about radioactive Draculas.
radioactive.
Definitely a band I used to play bass for.
radioactive Draculas.
It started first with the bedridden, calling out to some unknown being as they slept. They spoke out of an angel who beckoned them, one that had come to the mountain. These nightly murmurs turned into daylight ramblings, and they stated that the voice of the angel still spoke to them. At first, this voice seemed to disturb them, with them begging for medicine that would rid its call. But slowly they began to accept the voice and even speak back to it. When what started out as a fear and confusion had turned into love and worship, the angel that haunted their minds was now some godlike figure that brought peace of mind to them. Those with the voices stopped going to work or even leaving their houses, preferring to stay inside and listen to the voice. The village council had tried to get them to come out of their homes, but they refused. Forceful removal caused the victims to become extremely violent, and they lashed out at their friends and families like wild animals. Those who questioned or insulted the voice that they heard were met with anger and fists. Apparently, one man hacked his wife apart with an axe when she questioned the voice that spoke to him.
Dude.
They had been married for over 40 years.
Cool.
He hated her that much.
Wow.
Cosmic influenced madness. I like it.
All right.
Things became worse when other people began to hear the beckoning voice, quickly falling into the revenant trance that the others did. Those free of its sound soon locked themselves in their own homes, scared that they would too fall to its hypnotic voice. Work screeched to a halt, and the whole village became a ghost town as people hid from the outside world. The councilmen met again to discuss what to do. With everyone locked away, they worried that their own people would starve to death rather than risk stepping outside. The quickest solution was to deliver food to the unaffected and check in on those who the angel spoke to. It was then that they discovered several disappearances. Doors that were once locked to keep the non-believers out were now wide open. Rooms that held altars and gifts were now empty. Those inside that had hid from the world to bathe in the words of their savior had simply vanished. Worried, the council checked all the houses and found that half a dozen people had disappeared. With everyone sealed in their homes, no one saw a thing.
The plot
it's very refreshing to be reading something that gives me Bram Stoker vibes, but
Yeah.
also no one is describing rocks or saying the N-word.
Yeah. This is very Bram Stoker meets Midnight Mass. I really like this so far.
Yeah, when you write Bram Stoker better than Bram Stoker. there's a earlier in some of the paragraphs I was reading, I felt like there was a few grammatical things that could be tightened up, but otherwise I feel like I'm digging where this is going so far.
There's also that kind of challenge you have of you're writing in a style that is already antiquated. But you don't want to be so true to that it looks like as to lose your modern audience's reading sensibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need like, it's good when you get into that voice and you can make the voice work because it does capture that, like you said, that has that effect on the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
But then you don't have to describe the Asian paintings for the third time.
The Oriental paintings.
Howard, you were obsessed. I get it. Just stop, dude.
This discussion over the chilling turn of events led to the conclusion that the people had left in the middle of the night. The councilmen had patrolled during the day, so they would have seen or heard something. To back up this theory, they set up a watch that very night, staking out houses with the enlightened inside. They found that their suspicions were correct, as they spotted several of the members leaving their homes and stumbling off into the darkness like sleepwalkers. They did not even carry lights with them. Some of the men tried to stop them, but the infected fought back with an extreme ferocity whenever they were restrained.
They were infected with baby grow old.
Not everything comes back to Stargate.
You don't know that.
I do.
Anyways.
What if there is a Stargate way up in the mountains, though?
What if that's where the Stargate is?
If that's a twist,
I will give Paprika $20.
Yeah. I'll give her 50.
What if somewhere in the mountains there's a Stargate full of Draculas?
Radioactive Draculas.
Radioactive Dracula Stargate is my new favorite band.
That needs to be the next DLC for New Vegas. There's radioactive Draculas in the mountains.
Yes!
Scared out of their minds, that is when they sent Jonathan to contact the church. They informed me that no demon was responsible for this blight. They wanted a holy man at their side. What? Oh, yep, I skipped the line. They informed me that no one had tried to follow the walkers, as they feared that what they would find. If an angel or some demon was responsible for this blight, they wanted a holy man at their side.
There we go.
And all while they waited for our arrival, more citizens heard the angelic voice, and more people wandered off into the night. Even one of the councilmen had fallen to its melodious sound, which I've decided is Michael McDonald singing.
Good. Knowing that we had little time before the whole village fell into its power, I had the men load up mules with equipment. Torches, ropes, and weapons were amongst the supplies, as I was sure we would be facing the spawn of Satan himself. Oh, cool. They're going to go fight the Antichrist. Our plan was to stake out... stake out.
Uh,
Gonna kill those radioactive Draculas.
Gotta get them. You have to use a...
like
get that hazmat stake.
Something.
you need an absorber. It needs to be an absorber stake.
What's the thing they
Yes.
dumped into the top of Chernobyl to like?
Oh, fuck.
Didn't they
What was
just
it?
dump like a whole bunch of rubble or something?
Well, they dumped like, and specifically, I need to read
Rocks? Was
I
it
need to-
charcoal?
It was like nickel or something. It was like a specific compound. But whatever. Yeah, coat a steak in that, and then stab them.
Sorry. Our plan was to stake out more homes during the night, wait for chosen ones to leave their dwellings. One of the men would follow these walkers while leaving a trail for us. From there, we could use the trail to find out where these victims have been going and hopefully end this charade once and for all.
Boron. Sorry.
Boron, thank you.
Boron.
Boron, you big dumb boron.
I honestly thought you said moron for a second. I'm like, what? Excuse
Moron.
you?
You know,
Morons. Yeah.
We waited for many hours in the dark before the migration began. The tension almost made the wait unbearable, as every man knew what the mission meant. But at last, a door silently opened, and man lumbered out. Yes, man. With the darkness, we could not make out who exactly it was, but I could make the outline of a burly man. His gait was very odd, with his legs moving as if they had a great weight on each one. His shoulders swayed back and forth with each step, and his arms hung limp in front of his hunched body. As he walked, we could hear him talking to himself or to the voice in his head.
I just want to point out that the outline is because he's glowing from the radiation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm coming for your love. I'm coming for your beauty. His strange chant repeated over and
Paprika,
over.
that's very inappropriate. Please read the story.
changing the sole word each time. He sounded like he was talking to the Lord, and his voice was odd and reverent. But I know that he was not talking to him as I speak to him, and he just doesn't sound like that at all.
Right.
As this is not the way capital he works. Capital H he works. This was clearly the work of the devil. Clearly.
Capital
This
D.
is
Evil.
doing a great job of like just capturing that early exorcist demon hunter like Inquisition style of hypocrisy.
I also think our narrator is doing a good job keeping the location vague, but not having it be unbelievable, because they would have to just drive it in broad terms so that the brother that they're writing to doesn't pick up where this location actually is in the world. So
Yeah.
Hey.
But
The man
Yeah.
responsible for trailing the possessed slipped out onto the open and quietly followed behind. He made sure to keep a good distance between him and the other, as he did not want to be spotted nor attacked. We stayed in place, waiting for the two to vanish into the dark so that we could silently pursue. I prayed for the man who had to follow such insanity, a hope that we would find him alive and well at the end of all of this.
Is it just me, or does so the writing kind of reminds me of that one teacher, the Spanish teacher's writing?
Oh.
When he wrote of
Mr. Martin.
he wrote of
The boy.
Yeah, it kind of has a similar feel for me.
Well, that one was also set in a monastery too. come to think of
Yeah.
it. Like it had a religious person practicing, a practitioner of faith as the main voice.
I mean, there's definitely a difference enough that I'm like, nah, this isn't Mr. Martin, but
well, yeah, but that's a compliment too, because I enjoyed the boy.
yeah, that was a really good writing. Yeah, the writing here is really good. Point being, the writing's good.
After a few more breathless minutes, we passed out.
All was darkness.
We probably should have been breathing.
The mountain air was already pretty thin as it was, so the fact that we all lost consciousness was a little bit sad.
After a few more breathless minutes, we left our hiding spot and got the mules going. Just making some Moscow mules right there.
Yeah.
We chose to walk beside the mules rather than ride so that we could respond quickly to any sudden events. Such a weirdly clinical sentence.
Yeah.
Jonathan led in the front, and Brother Douglas watched the back. Jonathan carried a torch with him, as he needed light to find the secretive trail. The following man had taken a large purse of coins with him and would drop one every so often.
very specific.
I think because they're using it as a trail to
Sure. Like,
Couldn't
but they
think of
didn't set that up
something-
at all.
More plentiful and less expensive to drop the coins
Yeah, I
to
get-
the ground.
Hey, listen, we will pay you for this job, but you're gonna have to follow the coins, and you only drop as much as you get paid.
The money trail had us winding all over the mountain, with even Jonathan having a hard time figure out where we were. We were now completely destitute. It seemed like the possessed man was wandering for no reason. Some of us suspected that maybe they just walked into the wilderness until they collapsed or stumbled off a cliff. But our ideas were not given any more thought when we heard screams in the dark.
I will say, so you got Jonathan and Brother Douglas. When I think Jonathan, I think of like Jonathan Harker and we're relating back to Dracula and all that. And then we got
The creators of
Douglas.
South Park.
When I think
Sorry.
of Douglas, every time I hear Douglas, I'm trying to stifle a laugh because all I can think of is Strong Bad going, okay, Big Chief, say Douglas. Douglas.
I think Jonathan Davis. We heard screams in the dark. Inaru, Nafasina, Inaru.
They're all just listening to Korn. That's it. Freak on the Leash was
that's-
blaring from the mountain.
Nobody could sleep because of that.
Speaking of South Park.
None of us can fucking sleep because John Davis just shows up and makes those noises all goddamn day.
Mommy.
Is it my turn? Or
It is your turn.
Okay. We cautiously hurried to the sound of the shouts, making sure that we did not sprint off a cliff or slip down a slope in our haste. Having grown up on the mountain, Jonathan's legs were used to such a landscape and made it to screamers at first. Or made it to scream. I think they're supposed to be the other. And made it to the screamers first. The other men with us flew past me as I struggled to run and look out for danger. Sorry, your hand was in the way. So
Sorry, love.
no problem. The other men with us flew past me as I struggled to run and look for danger at the same time. By the time I got there, I found the men tying up the bloody man who was the source of the screaming. On the ground lay our follower, who was being tended to. His face was covered in claw marks, and the back of his head oozed fresh blood. The stony ground was spattered with the stuff, as his head had been bashed into it quite violently. I saw that Jonathan and the crew had the attacker well under control, so I rushed over to the wounded man to see what I could do. Though beaten and bloody, it did not seem like he had permanent damage. He did what?
He didn't?
That's surprising. Water and cloth was being applied to his wound, and his eyes were cracked open with a dazed look. I asked him what had happened and how such a brutal attack occurred.
He led me here, he croaked, his body and mind still recovering from the assault. He was going to go inside. I had to stop him. I needed to stop him. I asked him where the man was going, and he only responded by pointing to something in the darkness. I lit a torch and followed his finger to find myself at the jaws of hell. With the shadows pushed back, I found that we were standing in front
Bless you.
of a sneeze. I'm going to...
Bless you.
Thank you. With the shadows pushed back, I found that we were standing in front of the mouth of a cave. Its entrance was a jagged hole of stone, a rock maw ready to devour those who stepped too close. My torch could not penetrate the dark throat of the beast. The light was not strong enough.
Wait, my torch could not penetrate the dark throat of the beast. Giggity.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that's...
Rockmaw is my favorite Pokemon.
The light was not strong enough. Some of the men who were... But then again, you have to evolve Rockmaw by trading it with someone else. So
yeah.
That's part of the problem. Some of the men who restrained the possessed came to my side, staring at the portal in front of us. After some gawking, they huddled together to speak in hushed tones. I do not know why they excluded me from the conversation, but I quickly made them aware of my presence. When I asked them what they were talking about, one man replied for the group.
We are pretty sure that was what? Yes, we are pretty sure.
Wait, did you just respond to our dog snorting?
No.
Oh.
What? No, I was surprisingly, it was a surprise that it was my turn. we were pretty sure that was not there before, he said in a worried voice, pointing at the mountain's wound. Many of us has walked these cliffs as kids and billy goats, but no one remembers seeing something like this. I do not doubt them, as I was a stranger to these parts. If these men who were born and raised on these hills were sure this was a new feature, then I could only agree. It made me wonder if it was truly a gateway to hell, one that had opened that bright night and unleashed its sick creatures upon these people. How foolish was I to believe two holy men could hold back the dark legions. But I could not be weak in front of these men. They needed me and the Lord to help save them from damnation, and I needed the Lord to strengthen me for what would come next.
I went to the shrieking man, who was now bound in rope. Ever since we heard the first screams, he had not stopped for his infernal screeching. Amongst the wails and screams, were pleas for us to let him go, so that he may go to the angel and receive its blessings. He would beg and plead for mere moments, then turn to violent threats and vile curses, all before descending into shrieking chaos for a few minutes. This cycle seemed endless, with there seeming to be an endless supply of breath in him. It was clear no useful information would come from him, so the other men took his thrashing body and left him in a bed of boulders. Damn. Hopefully he would remain there while we dealt with the demon.
Here, just lie on this pile of rocks here.
I was about to say, the dude wouldn't stop screaming and flailing and thrashing and cursing us and saying vile things. So then he accidentally got thrown off the side of the mountain.
Yeah. He somehow fell off the mule and tumbled to his death.
It's the strangest fucking thing ever, man.
That was weird. Anyway, we armed ourselves with torches. Torches, weapons, and ropes, hoping that we would have everything we needed to defend ourselves. Brother Doug and I carried holy books with us.
Brother Doug.
As it would be a powerful weapon against whatever lay inside. The men were clearly nervous as we prepped for our descent. Perhaps they had truly hoped that an angel was the cause of all this. Why? Why would it be better if an angel was doing shitty things?
Because they paid the Angel Mafia before they came here.
Oh, okay.
The Angel Mafia is just the church.
Yeah, they paid the church.
Okay.
With the violence that infected these poor souls and the jagged hole that dove into the heart of the mountain, we all knew what was the cause of all this.
It was a meteorite.
Draculas.
Draculas.
A meteorite containing a bunch of Draculas.
So we all plunged into the bussy of the mountain.
Oh.
It took many minutes before anyone would step foot inside the cave, with Brother Doug being the first. I just love this idea of just calling him
Brother Doug is pretty great. It sounds less like a, when you say Brother Doug, it sounds less like a priest and more like someone who's at an Elks Lodge or something.
Yeah.
He was scared, but he knew that the deed needed to be done, and we shepherds needed to be strong. I followed behind him, swallowing my own fears and doubts, and with much hesitancy, the other men followed. The inside of the cave was a ghastly thing. No parts of it were smooth or round. All was jagged and torn. It was as if a great beast ripped its way through the mountain's flesh, tearing off chunks and leaving claw marks as it went. We had to be careful as we walked, as a simple trip or stumble would leave us covered in cuts and gouges. The whole tunnel slanted downward, slowly descending into the base of the mountain. I do not know how long we walked, but it felt like hours. Nothing seemed to change in the tunnels until we heard that voice.
Ooh, you want that beautiful sound that came from such a nightmarish place. It had to have, I assume, it had to have been made of harps and flutes. No human throat could make a sound so pure. It sung like a church choir, a sweet melody that would entrance any crowd. But from such a jagged, torn place like that cave we stood in, it seemed so alien. It didn't belong, not at all. We all heard it and froze, at first to listen to the wonderful sound, and then to realize what it was. Surely it was a trap, a lie that demons use to trick the weak. The lust that they used to lure ignorant men into the fiery pits of hell. It had to be that. No way an angel was down there and responsible for such things.
Can we talk about the fact that he's using the word lust as the temptation for the sound? Like,
yeah, kind of like a siren's call or something.
I get horny when I hear Michael
He's
McDonald.
lost in the sauce, Kaela.
You know what? Alan saying he gets horny when he hears Michael McDonald does not surprise me.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Hey, speaking of Alan being horny, are you doing Mass Effect tonight?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to plug it at the end of the show.
All right.
Well, stay tuned for that plug.
Yeah, because it's going to be an every Saturday thing.
Yeah. We moved with great reluctance, finding the singing more haunting than any shriek or roar. Now I like to picture is the characters moving down the corridor like you'd move down a corridor in Mass Effect. You know, shoulders bobbing, legs going way too high as you're trying to descend a slope. The animation looks kind of weird. Finding the singing more haunting than any shriek or roar. The men were more scared than us, as I am sure of. They had seen how such a voice could turn friends and family into puppets of desire. I am sure they believed that it may turn them as well. They're in the belly of the underworld, but they wish to end the nightmare, and so their duty forced them to follow us. I presume that's the end of that paragraph.
Okay. With each step, the voice grew louder and louder. The sweet melody of it didn't change, but the volume was starting to make the rocks themselves ring and tremble. We were soon forced to stop in order to plug our ears. As we made cloth bands to wrap around our heads, a new sound joined in. It was hard to hear over the singing, but I could tell it was coming from the new direction. Not one direction, new direction. The sound was coming from behind us, and it sounded like screaming. We spun around and readied our weapons, sure that it was an ambush. But what came from the darkness was not beast or demon, but man. It was the crazed man that we had followed to this very cave. He sprinted from the shadows and dashed through our group, his screeching having turned hoarse and torn from the endless shrieks. His body was covered in oozing cuts from running through such a treacherous cave. The ropes that had bound him still hung on his limbs, showing obvious signs of being cut. Someone had sliced his bonds and allowed him to continue his maddened journey. He did not pay us any mind. He plunged into the darkness ahead. We hurried our descent, determined to pursue him through the caves, but we caught up to him rather quickly. He screamed. His screams had died, and now he stood perfectly still next to the opening of some chamber. We did not get close enough to see what lay beyond. As we were wondering why the crazed man suddenly fell silent, he stood there listening to the deafening song.
Dun dun dun.
I'm here, he said, as if arriving at someone's doorstep. That's how I sound when I knock on people's doors. He did not speak loudly to overcome the shattering voice. His words almost didn't make it to our ears. I have come for your love. His arms flew out as if readying to embrace someone for a hug.
Yeah,
but whatever
definitely Michael McDonald.
Please hug me, Michael. But whatever responded
Michael,
had
please.
a different idea. The soothing voice suddenly began to drop in volume. The beautiful sound devolved into wet chokes and heaves before fading into silence. Then something lashed out from the darkness, and he was suddenly gone. All of us stumbled back in shock as the strike was so quick, it was merely a blur of shadow. Sure that we were at the demon's doorstep, Brother Doug and I reached for our books while the men readied their weapons. Our preparations were in vain, though, as what slithered from the black chamber was beyond our imaginations. The best way I could put it was that they were serpents made from men and shadow, their unholy bodies built from twisted coils of muscle and held together by a web of shiny black tendrils. Their faces were made from grossly elongated human heads, their gums and teeth protruding from their lips like beaks. The eye sockets contained only dark tendrils that writhed in the air. Their vile mouths snapped open to let out some quick gurgling sound, like a man choking on his own blood. And in an instant, they snapped forward, and each took a shrieking man with them. The two men fought and beat at the heads with their pickaxes and torches, but the serpents pulled them into their chamber unfazed. The torchlight of those two doomed men filled the chamber with light, and at last we saw our adversary.
Oh, fuck, gang.
Cool.
This is a neat monster.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
But hey, future David.
Yeah.
Can you play legally as much of What a Fool Believes by the Doobie Brothers as you can?
Oh.
Michael McDonald.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
That's it.
I keep forgetting Michael McDonald was part of the Doobie Brothers. Was he?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he sing for China Grove or no? God, it's been a hot minute since
I can't remember off the top of my head. I know that song. I know I keep forgetting. And I know Taking It to the Streets.
Yeah, Taking It to the Streets. Yeah.
Well, somewhere in there, you probably heard like maybe 3 to 5 seconds of What a Fool Believes.
Did I ever tell you that I actually, you know what? Nah, I was debating if that would be something I want, but my grandpa used to have a signed picture of the Doobie Brothers.
You did tell me about this.
Yeah, he used to. There was a point he rode motorcycles with them.
Ha ha ha.
Or Harleys with them.
Yeah, you told me this story, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Anywho.
Welcome to this Lovecraftian Stokerian story where I steered the conversation toward Jonathan Davis and Michael McDonald.
Weird duo, but
yeah. I'm gonna take this quick one and the next one. The thing I saw down there was so horrible that I will remember it till the day I die. Despite this fear and disgust, I will tell you what I saw. I hope that it will shock you enough that you will abandon any hope of coming to my rescue.
Abandon all hope, ye who enter here.
The chamber that should have been stone and rock was instead coated in gobs of flesh.
Cool.
It grew on the walls and floor like fungus, with muscles and tendrils weaved together in a sickening mass.
Ooh.
From this, those warped snakes emerged, and many more could be seen swaying in the chamber like branches in the wind. The two who held our friends brought them into the center of the room, where the light revealed the horrible being that sat amongst it all. It was shaped like the upper body of a man, its legs simply merging into the flesh that coated the chamber. But this form was composed entirely of parts from skinned humans. Its multi-jointed arms composed of limbs from past victims. Its fingers made from the arms of humanity. Its chest was crisscrossed with the black webbing, holding together a mass of flesh and faces. Dark tendrils ruptured from the eyes and mouths, giving the beast squirming hair and bristles. In its horrible face, made from the body of a mutilated man, broken ribs piercing from the skin to make terrible teeth, broken arms to craft the jaws, dripping intestines hung from its mouth like a limp tongue, and its single eye peering from the torn torso, nestled within the ribcage amongst a nest of inky tentacles. Every man screamed at the sight of it, and it returned our cries with a shriek of its own, unfurling... I'm sorry.
What?
I probably mentally envisioned that as less terrifying than it should have been. Not the creature. The creature sounds fucking great.
Yeah.
But I just imagine them around going, ah! And the creature going, ah!
The awe is like a very like the way you describe it is like the perfect Nickelodeon like bullies scream at the sight of a monster.
I was honestly like, as this was being described, I was on the verge of saying, Beth, draw this. Or
Very 90s.
Or anybody, please draw this character.
Sade.
Pretty sick.
Sade.
This feels very up Sade's alley.
Every man screamed at the sight of it, and it returned our cries with a shriek of its own, unfurling wings made from flayed skin.
Holy hell.
So the shriek I'm thinking it sounds like
What is that terrible animated movie that is basically Star Wars but not?
Star Wars Holiday Special?
No, animated, like an 80s animated movie that it's fucking Star Wars.
Oh,
but,
nobody
like,
knows. There's so many Star Wars copycats that came out in the 80s.
You and I
Chris.
watched it.
Yeah, but it's not a one-off. It's not a one-off to try and copy Star Wars.
Whatever. The point is, there's one good thing in that movie, and it is
The floating head?
no, there is robots like androids or something who are obsessed with becoming more human, so they attack people and then take their body parts and graft it onto themselves. And so our main character gets like runs into them, and they're like trying to like get his organs to just put into them, like, and it makes no sense. They're just insane. But like that was the coolest like twist I've ever seen, on an android in a very long time.
Is it called Star Chaser?
Star Chaser.
Yeah,
Thank
something
you.
like
Yes.
that, yeah.
Fucking awful movie.
I was trying to look for it because I'm shocked that I've never heard of this. Usually
No, but like this is not the first B movie I've seen that's based on Star Wars. I've seen like 3 or 4 from the 80s.
It's not even like
that
it's
nobody
not even
knows
a
about.
B movie. The thing had a budget. It's just a bad movie.
It did have a
really
budget.
bad.
Yeah, I'm looking at the budget was 15 million, which is
really?
Back then, yeah, it's a lot.
Uh,
But this monster that seems to just like take people and sew them into itself reminded me of that. It's a really cool idea.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked. It's not less the Star Wars ripoff and more the fact that it's an animated film, because I tend to know a lot about the bad, terrible, weird animated films that were made in the past. So the fact I've never heard of this is like, what? Really? It's kind of like a delightful. It's kind of like actually just today. I learned about the Hicksville, Kentucky, or not Hicksville. Was it
You're talking about the goblins, the aliens that showed up in Kentucky that were the inspiration for Sableye?
I was shocked. I'm like, what is this alien invasion that I've never heard about?
The Pokemon?
Yeah, it's the inspiration. Yeah, that's the creature was the inspiration for Sableye.
So apparently,
Awesome.
like this family in Kentucky was like went to the police and they're like, we've been trying to fight off these aliens for the past how long, and they look like this and whatever.
Was it Hickinsville?
Something like
that.
Something like that. And
Hickinsville? I don't remember.
and the way they describe the aliens is how Sableye looks. Kind of like these. So if you look at
Little gremlin-looking dudes with like gemstone eyes.
And yeah, they claimed like this is what we've been trying to fight off with like shotguns.
Damn.
All I can picture now though is the song "Rhinestone Eyes" by Gorillaz.
Yeah, but like I had never heard of this before, and I'm shocked because I'm like, usually I've heard of like some of the more famous alien invasions. Like I don't know every single one of like but I know of like Roswell or the couple that claimed to have been abducted, or the one guy that was out in the woods and stuff. I had never heard of this, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh man. Yeah, you learn something new every day, you know?
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
I now have learned 2 things.
Speaking of which, it's your paragraph.
Yes. The 2 snakes brought the squirming men to their master, who seized them in its massive hands. The men shrieked in agony as its tendrils burrowed into their flesh, and their bodies became one with the beast. Oh boy. God, now I'm getting Slither vibes. At that point, all courage was lost, and we scrambled to get away from the monstrosity, but the demon did not let us get away so easily, as it sent more of its sickening serpents to drag us back to its muscled nests. I ran as fast as I could, tripping and stumbling over the rocks without care. The stony edges that we worried about before were now trivial, and we sprinted onward despite being covered in weeping cuts. What a great description, weeping cuts.
Mm-hmm.
Screams from behind revealed that more men were taken by the obscene coils, doomed to join the many that suffered in its twisted frame.
I used to play bass for Obscene Coils.
I do not know when the creatures ceased their pursuit, but we continued to run. Even as we ran, people infected with its false voice stumbled past us, oblivious to our fear. They did not stop us, nor did we stop them. I was ashamed to admit that I did not care about saving them at the time. Admittedly, I was glad that they drove deeper into the cave so that the serpents could focus on others who did not care about their fate. But eventually, we spilled out from the dark hole and made it into the moonlight of night. Brother Doug and Jonathan had survived, along with one other. But the other men that had ventured into that damn tunnel with us did not come out, and we knew that they never would.
Dun, dun, dun.
Jesus!
I can imagine that you expect my story to end here. That I am writing to you because I know that the demon will soon call for me, and that I may be powerless to stop it. But my story is not done, not nearly so. Because after we escaped that cave, the 4 of us decided that we would need an army to bring the demon down. And also, we wished to leave the mountain as soon as possible before the curse consumed us. With Jonathan's help, we made our way down the mountain and back to the village, which was now even emptier due to the nightly migration and our botched exorcism.
I think they left that guy.
Yeah.
The guy they put on the rock bed.
Yeah.
Well, the guy they put on the rocks was the guy who sprinted down into the cave.
Oh.
I thought that was the guy they were initially following.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
There's Follower Man and Shrieker Man. Shrieker Man, he's in the boulder somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh.
The Shrieker Man, that was Shrieker Man. Because they talked about how the ropes that they tied him up with were they followed him and they tied him up and left him on the rocks. And then as they were in the cave, he came running down screaming, and he had broken his bonds and come down.
Okay.
Or someone had cut his bonds. Anyway, that's what I remember, at least. Our first order of business was to alert the town of what we saw and to convince the unaffected folk to leave their homes and flee the mountain. After explaining what we saw, almost everyone was ready to get as far away from the place as possible. All meals were quickly loaded and prepared for the trek down. Unfortunately, not all were ready to join our retreat. There were a few who had close ones that were afflicted by the lying voice, and they would not leave them to such a horrid fate. They begged and Brother Douglas to exorcise them so that they could escape the mountain with the rest of us. And we tried. I swear to the Lord, we tried. Every prayer, chant, trick, and method was tried on those poor people. But all it seemed to do was agitate them. We even had some assault us until we fled their homes. The voice could not be dislodged. They could not be saved, not with what we had. And in the end, those few people remained behind, unable to leave their loved ones alone, despite their incurable disease.
I call bullshit on this because that after what happened with the pandemic, half those people would be like, yeah, okay, we'll leave. And the other half were like, yeah, that's a bunch of bullshit. There's no monster. Come on, this is nothing.
Well,
and
a few of them did stay anyway.
No, but they stayed for their loved ones, not out of like selfish reasons.
This one's also kind of hypnotic.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I think it's Paprika's turn.
My turn. Okay. It's my turn. Where are we?
We left in a train.
We left in a train. We left in a train of mules and people. I may have been falling asleep. Heading down the trail that led to the bottom of the mountain. It was the same trail that led us up to this doomed village at the start. It was the same route that the people who used to live here took constantly to get up and down the mountain. It was a well-beaten trail, They beat the shit out of that trail. One that even I, a stranger to these parts, could very easily beat and see and follow. You may wonder why I seem to keep talking about this trail. Yes, we are wondering that. I
Yeah.
keep going on and on about how prominent it is. I say this because we never made it down. We followed that trail for hours and we never reached the bottom. We never strayed from the path, nor did we get turned around. It just never ended. We walked and walked, but we never got off the mountain. It seemed like we were walking, yet we were staying perfectly still, like a dog running on a chain. The demon that lived within its mountain was not letting us go. I don't know what the strange magic it was using, but it soon became obvious that we could not leave. We had entered the gates of hell, and the monstrosity had sealed it shut behind us.
We tried for what seemed eternity, should be an eternity, hoping that maybe we would break some invisible barrier if we tried long enough, but it didn't work. Hours of walking, and we all stood in the same spot. Yet when we turned back to retrace our steps, we stumbled into the town just a few minutes later. We were in the pit of an antlion, struggling against the sandy slopes, which only caused us to slip farther down to the monster below.
See,
I know
that's a really good analogy right there.
Yeah, it was cool.
See, this is when you get a tractor and you make your own path.
Yeah.
I know some desperate souls decided to try an alternate route, believing it had only one exit covered. We did not accompany them and only watched as they disappeared amongst the rocks. I have not seen them again, and I can only pray that they made it down. Thoughts and prayers.
Hashtag thoughts and prayers. Our train walked back into town. It was a walking train. Heads down, spirits crushed.
The walking train is probably the most horrifying part of this story.
Da 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 da.
Those who we had abandoned looked out at us, too scared to gloat or mock. They knew we were all in a sinking ship. It was just a question on when we would drown. The people went to their homes and sealed themselves in it as if they were tombs. Brother Doug and I met up with Johnny and what was left of the council. We had made half-hearted attempts to make plans on what to do next, but there was no confidence. In the end, we bedded down for the night with each other and waited for the next day and whatever it brought.
Yes.
I'm very curious what's going to happen next, because now that we've had the monster reveal, I kind of go, okay, what's next? You know, admittedly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be something good, because
It's got to be really. It's got to sell it. Yeah.
Because the monster
for it to have kept going.
Yeah,
like
that was the end of the story, wasn't it?
The
monster.
Typically,
it felt like it should be the end of the story, because usually once you reveal, like you think about it at the Mountains of Madness, what's the last thing that happens in that story? You finally see a Shoggoth, and it's amazing. It's such a good payoff.
Now imagine if you finally see a Shoggoth and then three characters are like, well, let's go home. And then you see them going home.
Exactly.
I awoke in the morning to the sound of Brother Doug talking. I assumed that he was talking to Johnny. Yeah, Johnny. Or one of the
talking to himself.
Talking to Johnny or one of the other man. But when I turned to look at his cot, he was kneeling on his bed, facing the wall. His head was bowed and his hands clasped in front of him. I believe that he was praying to our good Lord, asking for him to give us strength in these bleak times. When I listened to his whisper, I could feel coldness seep into my body.
Face down, ass up. That's the way we like to pray.
Should I read this part?
Go ahead.
Oh, wise angel, I thank you for your kindness and guidance. I thank you for the strength you have given me and the love you shall always show me. These words remain chiseled into my brain, as they were the words that sealed the fate of my brother. I went to him and begged for him to break free of its influence. He had seen the true form of the liar. Surely he could see it was all sham. He turned to me with eyes filled with wonder and excitement.
She says that we have seen through the deceit and lies and survived the ordeal. We have earned our place in paradise, where we shall only know peace and joy. I could not believe that I was hearing these delusional words pour from his mouth. They were the same that came from the lips of the infected, those who listened to those words and willingly walked into the room of flesh. I could not believe he had become one of them. I tried to reason with him, but soon he became violent and lashed out at me. He said I would never join the others if I continued to resist, and that he spoke of the one true Lord. As he forced me away, tears came to my eyes, as I knew he was lost. Our brother Doug had fallen to the seductive siren, and I was powerless to save him. Well,
shit.
Yep. Damn.
I lost my place again.
I went to Jonathan.
What page?
Page 9.
9. I went to Jonathan. Okay, sorry. I went to Jonathan and pleaded for his help, for him to find some way to help my brother. I can imagine how foolish I looked, begging for a life that could not be saved. Even at the time, I knew it was hopeless. It turned out that Bro Doug wasn't the only to fall ill during that night, as 5 more had been reported to be speaking with the angel, and those who had been infected before our useless trek had wandered off into the night. It would not be many more nights until the town was empty and the cave was filled with corrupted flesh.
Oof. Damn.
Can you use corrupted flesh in potion making? Because that sounds rather useful.
Yeah.
You need corrupted stone to make the teleporting thing and Conan.
Right?
I was forced to wander the town to try to get my mind off of the loss of my brother. I wondered how long before I too became corrupted. It was clear that not even the Lord's shepherds were safe from this disease. I wondered how many had walked through those tunnels only to be devoured by the false prophet. A curiosity hit my mind as I thought about it. We had traveled those tunnels nights before, yet we had found no evidence of such a mass migration. If all those people had gone through those jagged tunnels, why did we not stumble upon torn cloth or dropped belongings? But Jonathan had answered that question before, that not all people would have made it to the caves. For one to stumble around on the mountain in such a trance, some would surely slip and fall to their doom. The evidence I was looking for would be found splattered on the rocks far below.
Oof.
Abby just used his like narrator voice, and I'm just like, ooh.
Chills.
Yeah.
I spent the whole day going through crazed plans and ideas in my head, trying to find a shred of hope in this bleak wasteland of despair. But my day was wasted, as I had come up with nothing. The only thing that I had thought of was to tie my brother up and prevent him from making the lethal trek. I went to the others and got their help, and with much struggle, we bound Brother Doug up. During the whole time, he shrieked and fought, damning us in the name of his mental captor. With him restrained, we sealed him in an empty room, extra security that made me feel better. Now he was safe from the demon and from himself. I began to hope that maybe stopping him from completing the monster's commands would somehow snap him out of it. The only way to find out if it would work was to wait for night to fall.
As darkness descended over the mountain, I stationed myself in front of the door that held back Bro Doug. I could hear him thrashing around in there. Sorry.
That's great.
I know that's Paprika came up with that, so I could hear him thrashing around in there as he desperately tried to break free. With the ropes and me standing guard. With the ropes and me standing guard, I was positive that he was not going to. That was until I was struck from behind. When I turned to listen to Bro Doug's feeble cries, I blacked out from the blow and fell into my own night.
Sabotage.
Dun dun dun.
Oh, it's me.
Yes, it is you.
It was me. When I awoke, I could see the dawn of the new day peeking over the rocks. Dazed and in pain, I got up to find the door wide open and a nest of cut ropes where Douglas was. Someone had attacked me and released him. They let him free so that he could rush into his eternal damnation. I was furious at this betrayal, and I needed to find out who did it. I stumbled out of the dwelling and into the empty streets of the town. I frantically searched for anyone, be it my attacker or anyone else. At last I found Jonathan standing at the edge of the town, looking up at the top of the mountain. I hurried to him and told him about the assault, but he didn't hear me. He only stared at the mountain. I retold my story in case he didn't hear, but once again he ignored me. As I stood there, watching his frozen form, a terrible realization came over me. Jonathan had become one of them, and when I accused him of this, he confirmed my fears.
Oh, shit!
I am her shepherd. I lead the flock to her, the true angel. His words horrified me. God can't be a her. As I now had lost...
No! Not that!
God forbid!
I free those who are bound by the non-believers, and I take them to paradise. Though spoken like a prayer, I knew that it was a confession. Jonathan was the one who let Brother Douglas go. He was the one who attacked me last night. Furious and desperate, I threw myself at him. I forgot my years of training in peace and gave into the deadly sin of wrath. But I am just an old man. And Jonathan threw me off with ease. He called me, a heathen and a non-believer, just before he ran off towards the mountain with so much anger in me, I was not going to let him go easily. I pursued after him, tripping over rocks and slipping on smooth stone, but I gave chase, my rage giving me the strength to keep him in sight. Jonathan moved over the landscape like a mountain goat with such grace and skill, not like me, who bears the bruises of many falls, who still bears the bruises of many falls. Is She-God turning everyone into goats?
I would hope so. That would be a cool monster.
Yeah.
Turns everybody into mountain goats instead of like flesh tendrils.
Right?
Yeah. I am so down for the goat monster.
Yes.
It wasn't long, though, before my rage burned out and my muscles grew tired. I slowed despite my desire to catch him. Jonathan continued to run and soon fell out of sight. I had lost him, much like I lost my brother. But the Lord gave me a second chance, for when I looked down at my feet, I found an old coin. It was the trail that we had followed that fateful night. I was rich, and with renewed hope, I realized I could find my own way now.
You
I took
can
my
go your own way.
I now have the money for it.
I took my time as I navigated the rocky environment following the shiny trail. Unlike that one night, I took much longer due to my inexperience, but I did not give in. Soon I found myself approaching the cave that was carved into the side of the mountain. I stood before the terrible maw and peered into the endless dark. At that moment, I admit, I realized I had no plan, no idea what to do. My desire for revenge and wrath had caused me to come here with no purpose. I had no torch, so I could not enter. I had no weapons, so I could not fight. I had just blindly followed the trail into a dead end. I turned to leave when I heard the sound of falling rocks. It came from beyond the cave, on the slope that sat beside it. Walking past that terrible wound, I peeked around the cliffside to see a figure in the distance. I could not see a face, Slender Man, but the garments before me told me. But the garments told me it was Jonathan. He clung to the rock wall and slid his way across, uncaring of the drop into infinity. I traced a line from him to my own feet, and surprisingly saw a faint trail, probably made from goats who were masters of these cliffs.
It is a goat. It's a goat conspiracy.
Oh, God.
Hells yeah.
Well, perplexed. Go ahead.
I was just realizing. So this is all from the point of view of someone who's telling a friend or one of his brothers, don't come here.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be interesting? I'm not saying that the story should be like this at all. I think it's right now I'm enjoying the story. It is very well written. Wouldn't it be interesting to have it written from a point of view of someone who has already been sucked in and is trying to convince his brothers, no, you have to come here. It's so awesome. You're not going to believe this shit that I've seen.
Kind of like mimetically doing it.
Yeah. It's just, I'm not saying, oh, it should be like this. It's more just that'd be kind of an interesting point.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
What perplexed me most of all was why Jonathan was taking this trail rather than entering the cave. How did he even find this faint trail, which would require daylight, a good eye, and for one to even look past the giant cave, over a clear dead end and towards a staggering slope? We had not seen this trail during the night, as it would have been invisible, and no mountain man would have ever imagined looking at the cliffs that bordered the cave. But with Jonathan now in sight, and the trail discovered, I swallowed my fear of heights and began to traverse.
Mountain goat, mountain goat, mountain goat.
The mountain goat disappeared. Oh, sorry. Jonathan disappeared.
I only listen to the mountain goats.
Yeah. Jonathan disappeared around the corner well before I was halfway across, but I was in no mood to rush. One slip and I would have plummeted to my death hundreds of feet below. As you can guess, I survived the climb and made it to the corner to find flat ground on the other side. Jonathan was gone, but I could see the path continue on, heading upwards. The path seemed worn by the use of man or animal. It was not well beaten, but one could pick it up if they were looking. Curiosity rather than rage now drove me, and I wanted to find out what he was after. He had gone past the cave of his master and crossed a treacherous place to come to this section of the mountain. And so I climbed, so that I may learn of his desires and destination. It's a climb.
Hey, Merce, I'm talking about ice climbers.
Yeah.
I'm actually interested again.
Yeah.
I'm shocked. Like usually about that halfway point, it usually goes downhill. Now
we're going back uphill, literally.
Yes, this is a good place to stop. So next UCA is going to be. No, I'm kidding.
It's the claw. It's it's all about the journey, not the destination. It didn't take long for me to realize he was headed for the top of the mountain as the peak was growing closer in view. Its jagged top looked like a stone knife cutting into the sky, and soon I was dancing on its edge.
I
would be dancing on its edge. Thank you. And as I too drew closer, an odd feeling washed over me. The feeling, peace and content, the rage I once had seemed to melt away. Thank you. Sorry, got thrown off. I was feeling oddly good given the recent events. As I made the final climb to the summit, I felt like I was climbing to the top of the world, where the Lord's hand would reach down and pull me up to heaven. I was happy. I was very happy.
Oh, he's being taken.
Oh shit.
This monkey's gone to heaven.
I came close to the top of the mountain only to find that the peak I had seen was an illusion. Rather, it was the lip to a bowl that sat on top. The lip to a bowl that sat on top, as if the mountain was one strange cup. Okay, so where's the bussy? Perhaps there had been a peak before, but now it had been rounded down into a basin. And within this bowl was a piece of paradise. Beautiful grass blowing in the breeze, small trees bearing plump red fruits. Scattered in the lush grass were people from the village, kneeling as if in prayer. I could see Brother Douglas and Jonathan among them, their faces showing pure bliss and peace. All of them were gazing at what stood in the center of this slice of Eden. I followed their eyes to the being that they worshipped and wept for joy, for there in the middle of this peaceful congregation was an angel, a true angel.
This is interesting, Gan.
Is it?
I am.
Yes.
I'm interested.
I'm kidding. Yes, it's good.
Abby.
Oh, sorry. It stood tall amongst those worshipping at its feet, looking down with the love of a mother. Wings that would make the greatest swan jealous, and robes made from the purest of silk. Of her beauty there was no match. How cruel for the Lord to make lust such a sin when he created a being so beautiful. Golden hair rolled down from her head, making even the valuable metal dull in comparison. Her face could only be described as angelic, for any other words could not do justice. I stood there basking in the sight of her, and I knew that I had finally been rewarded. For all my sacrifices and struggles, a lifetime of work finally being repaid, and I would have done it 1,000 times over just to watch her for but another instant. I tell you, Brother Gregor, without shame, that I would have torn my robes and tossed away my vows just to be with her, and I know that you would too, at the mere glimpse of her, for she was the single diamond in a world of rock and coal.
And she was played by Gwendolyn Christie.
Overcome with joy. I clambered over the rocky lip and pranced into the grassy field. I rushed to be with her, to bask in her beauty. There I was, a man of my age, skipping and giggling like a giddy schoolboy. Tee-hee, I said. As I ambled, pranced, frolicked, and cavorted. Past my brother and past the other worshippers, I ran to hold her in my arms, to hear the sweet voice that would surely come from her. But just as I got so close to paradise, I tripped.
Because I'm a fucking klutz.
Over my dick.
Of all the things to be so close to the arms of an angel, to be at the doorstep to heaven, and then trip like an old fool, a rock hidden under all the lush grass caught my foot, and it caused me to throw my face into the ground. At the time I cursed the rock, I hated it so, for it dare spoil my happiness and joy. I swore that it had to have come from the devil, for such a small thing to be so evil. But now as I write this lengthy story, I'm thankful for the rock. I know that it was the only thing that saved my life that day. One small rock. For when I looked up with my head throbbing and my mind dizzily, knees wink, arms spaghetti, I gazed into the face of the angel, and I screamed.
Oh, shit.
Thanks, Dwayne Johnson.
All her makeup was melting off.
Oh, no. The creature that towered over me was not the beautiful specimen that I had seen before my blunder. Its shape remained the same, with wings, arms, and a face, but gone were the feathers, silk, and beauty. Its skin was translucent, broken up with thick veins made of marble. Below was coiled masses ivory muscle, while strange tadpoles squirmed beneath the clear skin. Clumps of white fat hung in folds from its frame, a robe made of bleached flesh. Its arms were a twisted length of joints, terminating into impossibly long fingers. The body of it was clear like the rest of, displaying a sack of strange organs that pumped and swallowed their slithering bodies. Behind it were flabby wings that would have suited a fish more than an angel. The red veins that ran through the long fins swelled and constricted with each moment. Its face bore down on me, turning my heart to ice at the sight of it. What was once the definition of beauty was now the living image of horror.
Again, whoever wants to draw this, please do.
So do we have two entities, or is this the same entity from earlier?
I think it's two different entities.
As the tentacle monster?
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Well, we'll see.
Who just went?
That was me that just went. So it's you.
Oh, it was me. Am I on the ivory head?
Yes.
Was cracked like a dropped egg, with each line oozing crimson blood from these cracked, gazed black orbs, eyeing me up like a vulture circling over a dying man. There was no mouth or any other facial features, just a wall of peering eyes, weeping the liquid of a man, the liquid of man. Semen? Atop its head was some disc of flesh, drifting in a sea of unseen liquid. This organic halo pulsed with strange light, one that conveyed nausea over hope. The sheer sight of the creature was horrifying and blasphemous, a disgusting creature imitating the form of a holy warrior. I recoiled in terror, scrambling on my hands and knees to get away. In my fright, I scurried right into one of the worshippers, who seemed oblivious to the sacrilegious monstrosity before them. But when I got my bearings and looked up upon the possessed man, he too was not what I thought.
Oh boy.
Oh, this is a big one.
All right. What I had seen as a man before was now a nightmare. It was a brick of melted flesh, with its limbs contorted into meaty roots that burrowed into the earth. Whatever hair he had before had fallen out, leaving patchy spots on his waxy, stretched skin. His head had vanished or had fused with the rest of the body, a large, lipless mouth open and closed like a fish out of water, sucking in ragged swallows of air. His eyes had swollen into fist-sized globs, which pointed only to the abomination that I fled from. And what terrified me most of all was the look in those eyes. It was a look of ecstasy and pure bliss. It was infatuated with the creature before it, ignorant to the twisting and melting of its own frame. Trailing from the sad, hypnotized lump was a thick white vein, which embedded itself into the torso of the creature. I looked out at the rest of the congregation and saw that the rest of the followers had suffered the same fate. Amidst the gobs of lost humanity, I spotted one of the remnants of a rosary sitting by. It lay next to the tatters of a torn old robe. With that, I fled, tearing my way through the green grass that now felt like coarse hairs. The trees that blew in the wind were now pale and gaunt, the limbs and trunk made of a pale, stretched skin. The knotted branches held dripping, throbbing fruits that held on with red pulsing veins. My last glimpses of them revealed the remnants of a face embedded in the skin-covered trunk. A look of disturbing peace permanently froze on it. That last look pushed me over the stony lip, and down the barren mountainside. Behind me came a screeching call of the angel, wailing at the loss of its prey. The sound was like a dying songbird, beautiful but horrifying at the same time.
Ooh.
Damn.
Ooh. This got eldritch really fast.
Oh, real cool.
I like it. Really neat imagery.
So with that.
So anyway.
So how are you?
How's your wife? Oh, wait.
Anyway, I won't be by bingo next Thursday, just so you know.
Please feed my goldfish.
So with that, I came back to the town, as it is the only place that has shelter for me. I do not know how many people remain, as we have all sealed ourselves away, too scared to speak to one another. At night, I have seen a handful of others stagger out into the darkness. Whatever may be their destination, I do not know. I just know that some beast, may it be above or below, will have guests to their dinner. You may read this entire tale and wonder why I have written so much. Why write an epic while its death stands outside my doorstep? I write all this because it is something for me to do, something to keep my mind off of what I have seen and what I have learned.
By writing exactly about what I have seen and learned and thinking about it.
Because I know that soon the voice will come and call for me, and I know that I will not be able to resist its sound. I will join the others, be it above or below. So as I have said before, do not come to this mountain. Do not try to save me. I am already lost. I cannot be saved.
I do not know if I will be able to get this letter to you, as I cannot leave myself. I will seal it and send it off with the mules. They know the mountains and its trail better than I do. Perhaps if I send them down alone, they will make it down unaffected. These monsters do not desire the flesh of animals, only men. Maybe the animals will be found, and this tale will make its way into your hands. I hope so, for I fear the church may send others to determine my fate, and we will unwittingly send them to their doom.
But maybe the terror will come to you anyways, as I fear their hunger is not satiated, especially as they fight over a single town, ensnaring as many victims as they can. How far may their seductive songs travel, so that they may snare more souls? How many other towns and villages will be wiped out because of this? Maybe I should tell you to run, but if it spreads, I am not sure you could get far enough away. Because what is going on here is a battle between angel and demon, light and dark, above and below. For the first time in all my life, I am unsure that two sides are any different. May someone save us all. My best wishes, Brother Peter.
Damn!
Hey! Holy shit.
That is some good Lovecraftian literature.
Mm-hmm.
That's yep.
So there's
Good
two
shit.
baddies.
There's
Good
two
shit,
guys.
bro.
One but as above, so below.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both calling to people, one to eat them, the other to gaunt them.
Assimilate them.
Assimilate them.
They both have different forms of assimilation, but sure enough, they're assimilating them.
Yeah.
And they both showed up around the same time, as far as we know. There's still a lot of unanswered questions, which is for the best, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No further detail needed.
Yeah. Like I said, just a few sentences need to be cleaned up grammatically, but otherwise, I think this is there's some really, really, really good imaginative imagery for these horrifying abominations that are, one at the peak of the mountain, one beneath the mountain.
I am just in awe. This is such a great story.
This is very, very good.
I have to praise it though, because if we don't, it might make Cthulhu mad enough that he'll wake up. So
Yeah.
remember, he dreamed all this into existence.
True.
Holy crap.
Nobody should have given him the Bible.
That's what you people believe? Oh, I can write one better.
I can do that.
Hey, Al has read. I need you to write this for me. Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, you already did it? Oh, cool. Sorry, I was asleep.
Nice. What did you call it? The Necro Nom Nom Nom. Okay, sure, but why write a cookbook?
Are you hungry?
Oh, okay, a little bit.
Actually, that's something that there's a book actually called The Necronomnom. It's a cookbook inspired by
Aw,
Call of Cthulhu.
Cool.
that's
So
cute.
yeah, that might be a gift for you guys at some point.
Bring it with you when you visit us, and we'll cook out of it.
Sounds good.
Mhm.
We don't have a copy, but we might get one at some point. I mean, we're definitely getting an affinity for like weird cookbooks. We still have to make some stuff from Heroes Feast since we got it back in Portland when we all visited.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
I got that semen cookbook. Anyway,
The fuck? Okay.
Wait. Oh, you did get the semen cookbook.
Yeah, that was weird.
yeah. So
The secret ingredient is me.
we're doing this now.
The story was so good, we're not even going to talk about it.
If you like what you hear,
Well, tell you what, yeah, that's a good point. If you like this, please check out the other fine podcasts on the Creative Horror Network, like the Jameson Tapes and Midnight Marinara and The Witching Hour and Darkly Lit, just to name a few. And while you're at it, definitely subscribe to this podcast if you haven't done so already. We upload twice a week if all goes well. And if you want to hear more of the extra special nonsense we do before each recording, we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/midnightmarinara. You can join that, and we have the choice drags that get released. This is the one we recorded before. This is very interesting, in my opinion. And any other plugs?
Saturday nights on Twitch, I am streaming Mass Effect, the whole trilogy. I am on the first game right now.
It's really fun.
I've been enjoying it. The
yeah.
Adventures of Shemp Shepherd.
Yep, Shemp Shepherd.
Who is a Dracula?
The shotgun monster.
He is absolutely a radioactive Dracula.
Look at him.
Also, I want to plug Natural Harvest, a cookbook by Paul Fody Fotenhauser, which is all recipes that include semen.
Gross.
And I bought it on Amazon Books for like $4. And it's pretty lazy, actually. It's just a bunch of like common recipes, but also cum.
That's yeah.
Ew.
Oh, must have been using
I am
right.
curious that he's done a second book about cocktails.
Oh God.
Literal.
Get it? Cocktails.
But da 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 da.
That would have been a more clever joke than the one he went with for the title, which is just Semenology, the Seaman Bartender's Handbook.
That doesn't even work.
No.
Yeah.
See,
Never.
Semenology sounds like the kind of book where you use your cum to summon demons.
Yeah, or just
Yeah.
the study of cum.
This
This is just his like excuse of like I brought you a Manhattan, also I jizzed in it.
Yeah,
Don't question
no,
this. This is art.
I've looked at a preview of that one, and it's all just like, hey, I made a gin and tonic. Also, I put some of my cum in it.
Well, because that would be a jizz and tonic, which
Yeah,
is
I'm pretty.
clever.
That's probably what it's called.
It better be.
Some of the recipe names are funny, but none of the actual recipes themselves are very creative.
That's fair.
Ugh.
Yeah, I got to go to work. So let's get this
Anyway.
our freshest ratings and call it a day.
Okay.
I will give this, I only listen to the mountain goats out of several donkeys on a mountain trail.
I give this a fleshy white vein. out of 10.
I'll give it a Michael McDonald out of a possible Jonathan Davis.
I'll give this a Johnny Boy out of a Bro Doug.
I mean, I'll give it a better creation story than Genesis.
In the beginning, there were snake tendrils.
And everything was scary.
But everything changed when Cthulhu attacked.
Well, I hope we've appeased Cthulhu enough to now, keep him sleeping for another century or so.
Another week. We'll be
That'd
back
be
next
nice.
week.
Good night, everybody, especially Cthulhu.
Good evening, intrepid listeners. This is the Pasta Shade, the host of Midnight Marinera, and this podcast is part of CreativeHorror.com, a network of podcasts and creators working together to build a constructive community of horror fans. For more content like this, visit us at CreativeHorror.com.